Yeah. How it says that.
How many of you have the Sefer? HaSefiros. There should have been some pages that went out, though. Should be on the phone, and there'll be more Sefarim coming very soon. Someone needs that machine. I think I had 2 or 3 something on the island that you had to get from my office. Maybe 2 or 3. There were. I don't know if there's
Feeling deprived, just looking at pages. I don't know.
No, there's some coming. You can't get them in America.
Not even legalized?
He could order them also, but we have one of the fellows who's taking care of it. Okay. It's very, very hard for me to part from the Hagdamis of the Hakitzavranu. There's more that I wanted to do, but at some point it begins to dawn on me, so we have a few more svar. It begins to dawn on me that
Did you give one to Eric?
he's a coin you have to give to Mr. Parker for hello. Shalom. He's a coin? He's a coin in here.
There were certain orders.
Jay is the director of distribution in the.
There were certain orders put in. That's all I know.
Right.
There's 4 on the island in Rabbi's office.
Yeah, they were sitting on the mattress. Yeah. Okay, so I realized that I'm so attached to the Hagdamis and to getting ready, so that can go on for another month, and then it's already going to be not Hanukkah. It's going to be already Purim, and I said we just have to already go into the Sefer. I want to go into the Sefer, and the Mitzvah Shem. There'll be little pieces here and there to go back to from the Hakitzavranu to fill in. For every single page that we're doing in this Sefer, there are thousands and thousands of fill-ins. And it's just to hold back, not to bring from all the different Sfarim, because I want to be able to move very quickly through this Sefer. For some of you, there are going to be things here that you already know, and for others, it's going to be entirely new. But even for those who already know it, this Sefer puts everything into a very, very clear, wholesome and healthy perspective, and that from here we're going to be able to go to the other Sfarim. But this is a way to enter into the Chachma, So some might feel it's too elementary, and maybe you'll join up with us later. But it's an important way to enter into the garden, into the orchard of Pnimiyus HaTorah. Page Tesvav, Psicha. There was a small mava, but we more than covered that. Psicha on page Tesvav. B'psichas HaSefer rinu l'nochel l'hakdim mai mataros HaSefer v'seder tavniso. It's important at the beginning of the Sefer to understand what is the goal, what's the objective of this Sefer, what are we setting out to accomplish in this Sefer. And what is the Seder Tavniso? And how is it? What's the order? What's the Seder of the Sefer? And what can the person who's learning the Sefer expect to get from it? What can one expect to get from the Sefer? In a klal chayod of Avodas Hashem, basic Torah v'mitzvos, v'kuvan l'davar echad. The tachlis of all our Avodas Hashem is one thing. Is to be dovuk to Hashem, to live a life of dvekus b'Hashem, of connection to Hashem. And to be bound to Hashem, the deep kesher. In every part of ourselves, of our being, to be dovuk to Hashem. So that Yiddishkeit shouldn't be mitzvahs anoshim l'mada, which means going through the motions or routine. And the way to reach a life of dvekus b'Hashem, the only way to live a life of dvekus b'Hashem and to have that kesher with Hashem is through the study of Torah and the observance of mitzvahs in a way where a person is misbain in the way of his bain. It's a deeper way. Because when a person understands, like we were talking a little bit about in Hakitz Verano, when a person understands the meaning of a mitzvah, what's the oimik of the mitzvah of tefillin? What's the oimik of Shabbos? What's the oimik of having a mezuzah on your door? What's going on? And also to understand what Hashem revealed to the tzaddikim, which was a big part of what Maimon HaSinai was, is how Kodesh Baruch Hu fears the world, how Hashem runs the world. To understand what is Hashem doing in the world, what is this thing called the world in our lives, what's it about? And Meila, this Ora B'Kirba shall have us at Vegas B'Hashem's Baruch. The more that a person is mamik in these sugyas of the meaning of my mitzvahs, the meaning of my life, who am I and the meaning of my life, and who is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what does He want from me, and how does He run the world, that will ignite the fire of Dveikus in the person of Hashem. And the place in Torah where the Pnimiyus of Hashem's Hanhag of Hashem runs the world is revealed, that's in Chachmas Emes, in Pnimiyus Torah. As has been taught to us by the tzaddikim, that by learning this Chachma, that one is able to accomplish these two things which should never ever be separated. Yidiyas Hashem, knowing all that a human being is able to know about Hashem, what Hashem has allowed us to know about, Kivyachal, about Himself and how He runs the world. But it's not enough to know, but v'hashava el halev, to learn how to take this knowledge and to infuse our hearts and to fill our hearts with that reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The more a person recognizes, understands Kivyachal, again, understanding not Hashem's essence, but what Hashem has allowed us to understand, what He wants us to understand. There's oimek han hagaso, and the oimek, the depths of how Hashem fears the world, how He is manning, how He conducts all of history and all of life. The more a person will be able to have a relationship with Him, to connect to Him. And then one's avodas Hashem can be an avodah of HaSefiros Levacha, where it's not just that he knows these things, but this knowledge is something that fills his life, that fills his heart. When a person understands the oimek, the depths of how Hashem runs the world, how creation took place, and how Hashem conducts all of creation, and how the hashpah of Hashem and how the or of Hashem reaches the person, how it relates to each of us individually. He takes this to heart. And he's able to become attached to Avodas Hashem with all of his heart. Which we'll start to learn soon. We find in Chazal, Sheish Mokum Avodah Godel Odom Havanas Darach Hashem's Baruch. When a person for a person who learns Torah, and Hashem misses to say, if somebody asks him a question, or his child asks him a question about Darach Hashem's Baruch, and to answer by saying, we don't know, that's all, everything is Hashem, what Hashem does, we don't know anything about it, that's not acceptable. Hashem in the Torah has revealed to us, has taught us, not everything, but a great deal about Darach Hashem's Baruch, how Hashem's Baruch relates to creation. Shnema b'Chazal, Rabbi Yud, says in the Medrash Rabbi, and this is really this Maimar Chazal is the yesod of the whole binyan of learning Chachmas Emes. Godol koichen shel neviim. Great is the koach of the prophets of the neviim. Shemedamin tzura liyotzra. Shemedamin tzura liyotzra. The yotzra, of course, is Hashem, the Creator. Tzura means all of creation, but more specifically it means Tzuras Adam, the human being. What is it that's great about the Nevi'im? Shemedamin tzura liyotzra. That the Nevi'im have this ability. These human beings who have reached the height of the understanding of Darchei Hashem Yisbarach, they are able to study this world, to look at this world, at the tzura, at the adam, at the even the physical limbs of a person, the organs and limbs of a person. They're able to study physical reality, history, and so on, and medamen tzura liyotzra, and they're able to see the dimyan. They're able to understand the comparison between the Creator and what Hashem has created. It doesn't mean His infinite, unknowable, Reisha de lo Yisyada, that we can't know. But that which Hashem Yisbarach wants us to know about Him, He has revealed to us in creation, through creation. And therefore the Nevi'im, when the Nevi'im would speak of Hashem, they would even speak using Lashonis, describing the human image and form, which all of Chachmas Kabbalah revolves around these things, which is very, very strange and very odd to people who start to learn this Chachma, because there are very graphic descriptions of the human body, and through understanding the human body, that one can understand Kivyachal, the Hanhag of Hashem, how Hashem Yisbarach fears the world. And the Nevi'im are the greatest at this. Gadol koichen shel Nevi'im shemedamen tzura liyotzra. Shenemar, it says in Daniel. So first the Medrash, Rabbi Yudin brings this pasuk, ve'eshma kol adam ben ulai. It says, I heard a human voice. Daniel says, Hashem spoke to him, and Daniel heard this voice of Hashem as a human voice. Ben Ulai means from the middle of the river Ulai. We spoke about that Nahar Ulai by Purim, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. That river of Ulai, there's a Torah from Avkukta, from the Tzaddikim, and this Indian of Ulai, the river Ulai. So Hashem Yisbarach, Daniel is saying that I heard a human voice. Ve'eshma kol adam. Now Hashem was speaking then. But he said, I heard a human voice from the middle of the river Ulai. So Rabbi Yudin brings this as a raya that Gadol koichen shel Nevi'im, that the Navi is able to hear Hashem's voice in a human voice. Medamin tzura liyotzra. Rav Yehuda bar Simon, the Medrash goes on, that Rav Yehuda bar Simon says, Isflin kariya ochren de mechavi yosim in dain. I have a pasuk that's more mefurish. I have a better pasuk, a clearer pasuk. It says in Yechezkel, in the first paragraph of Yechezkel. Shnema by the Merkava, it says, Val dmus hakisei, dmus kamari odom alav milamala. That Kivyachal, he saw an image of Hashem as an image of a man sitting upon a throne. Kamara odom alav milamayla. Kamara odom alav milamayla. So that's even clearer. It's not hearing a voice, it's seeing some sort of an image. Now that doesn't mean that Chalila Hashem has a human form. It's medamin tzura liyotzra. We're going to learn more and more what that means. Ubir is Ashla, so let's begin. On page Tezayin, the Shla explains, the Shla Kodesh explains in his Akdama to the Asor Mamaras, Ki haneviyim mesaknim umashlimin binyanim lebinyan ha'adam hagadol. A Navi is a person who, to the best of his ability of what a human being can do, he has perfected his tzura. What does that mean? The Navi has perfected, again, within the limitations of a human being, the Navi has perfected what he looks at with his eyes. The Navi has perfected his sense of hearing, his dibur, the midas haleiv, what he thinks about. The Navi is mashlim, the tzura sa'adam. That's the Navi. Ki hanevim mesaknim umashlimin binyanim lebinyan ha'adam hagadol. And therefore, the life of the Navi, of that tzura of a human being, is as close to the dmus and the tzura kivyachol of Hashem as is humanly possible. He's able to align himself with the dmus, b'tzalmeinu kidmusenu, as much as a human being can do that. The Navi does that in the course of his lifetime. His tzura doesn't mean something physical. His tzura to the tzura ha'elyaina. The Rambam talks about this at the beginning of Mar Nevuchim, and this is really the side of the whole Mar Nevuchim, what he's writing about. What does it mean when it says in Chumash, in the Navi, that Hashem has eyes? Eine Hashem. What does it mean that Hashem speaks? What does it mean? What does it mean? Yad Hashem, Yad HaChazak is drawn to you. What does it mean? What does it mean? We see that in Tanakh, Hashem himself compares Kivyachal himself, the Yotzer, to the Tzura, to what he created. He uses these Lashonis of Bnei Adam. Koloshon Bnei Adam. Now the Navi is a person who has worked hard to perfect the Tzura Sa'adam. His Tzura is an Adam. Whatever an Adam is, the Navi has worked very hard to perfect that. Umamidin Soid Hadmus al Mochainai. And the Navi was given permission and was told to be Mamed the Soid Hadmus al Mochainai, to clarify, to establish, to clarify the side, the secret of the demus, of that image, to teach us. And that through the shleimus of how a Jew behaves and conducts himself in his life, he's able to align himself in his life with the demus of the Creator. That a human being, a Jew, only a Jew, can reach that maila, even though there was Bilam, there was Nevuah by it's a different side, a different type of a Nevuah. But to be a Navi, Be'emes, is something which the Mailas and Nevuah, that a Jew can reach this mile of Nevuah. Hanishpas mehatzura hi asher heshlimai. That it comes as a shefa, that this koach of Nevuah is infused into the Navi, descends upon the Navi, into that tzura, to that dmus, that this Navi has spent his lifetime perfecting. Therefore, the Navi's perception of the higher perfection of that Surah Elyoina, the way that he perceives it and the way that he communicates it to other human beings, is in the way of Tzuras Adam, in the way of man's Surah. To teach and to reveal, like the Ramban brings the pasuk to explain the inyan of what that means, Tselem Odemus, and the name of Adam. It's a famous Ramban. The Ramban says that Adam is what? Who remembers what is the Adam is Adama le'elyon. That I, a human being, Adama le'elyon. Adame le'elyon means I, Kivyachal, I resemble the Creator. That the tachlis of my life is to reach that madrega of Adama le'elyon. The Shalach says that this is a very great thing. This alignment of the tzura to the yotzer, of the nivra, that which was created, to the Creator, is a davar gadol ugevura rabbis, gewaldig, a great thing. Lahagber hasechel ala chaimer. The most basic requirement in this avodah is that the person's mind, that the neshama should be in control of the chaimer, should be in control of the body. Umi v'ami asher yuchel al zeh, and whoever is able to accomplish this, to reach this level, the Za'amar, that's what the Medrash is saying, Godel koichan shel neviim. Great is the koich of neviim. This is the great koich of neviim. To ascend higher and higher in their personal shleimus, in the shleimus of tzuras adam, and through that to have the deepest perception, understanding of the tzura kivyochel of the yotzer, not chalila, in physical images. Again, we're learning now what that means. But what corresponds, what does it mean, the right hand? What is the meaning of the right hand? What's the meaning of the nose? What's the meaning of the eyes of Hashem? Really, our eyes mean the same thing. The eyes that you and I have are hishtalshlus of what that means that Hashem sees. Our eyes are in the human physical form, a hishtalshlus of what that higher reality is, that's called Einei Hashem, Hashem's eyes. So since the Navi is a person who has perfected his eyes, whose eyes are completely purified to the best that a human being can reach, he has purified his eyes. So when he comes to that point, he's able to come into contact with the non-physical, with the transcendent reality that's called Hashem's eyes. The way that Hashem looks at things. What does that mean? That's Godel Koich. It's gewaldige Koich that the Navi has, Godel Koich. The Kosev is Oid Hashla. And the Shlach Kodesh writes, he continues, Oid Hoisif Neifach with Sefer Parnes HaChodesh. She brings one of the great Erlim Kubalim and Megabai. Perchof Aleph, Mechelik Sisri HaTorah B'Zel Hashem. That's what he writes the following. Kvar Asbar B'Zel Sefer. It's already been explained here in Parnes HaChodesh. Ki ha'odam ha'katan niskan ketikun ha'odam ha'gadol. That the human being who's the Adam ha'katan is niskan ketikun ha'odam ha'gadol, is established. The tikkun of Adam ha'katan is according to the image of Adam ha'gadol. Adam ha'gadol means, like when the Navi Yecheskel said that there was an Adam sitting on the kisei, on the throne. Kidei liyachid es Hashem hagadol b'chvayda. And because of this, Adam HaKatan, a human being, is able to be miyachid es Hashem hagadol b'chvayda. Now, what that means is to unify, to have an understanding of, and to connect to that yichud of Hashem, that uniqueness, that oneness of Hashem. V'achefetz hayeh b'briya, she'ezeh koach b'yad Adam. And Hashem created the world in such a way because he wanted that the Bria, meaning that Adam, that man, should have this koach, that the human being should have this koach. So, we're holding by Masiyat Yad Kislev, and Chav Kislev is still the Yontiv of Yutes Kislev, continues with the Chav Kislev. And so there's been a lot of singing this past day in the world of Mosai Kol Simar, but the song doesn't have the rest of the conversation between Mashiach, what happened between Mashiach and Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh when the Baal Shem Tov had that Aliyas Neshama Rosh Hashanah. And I'm sure that many of you know that it wasn't only that the Mashiach, when the Baal Shem Tov asked Mashiach, when are you coming? When are you coming? So Mashiach, he asked him, Mosai Kol Simar, sir. He asked Mashiach, when are you coming? So he said, when the well springs of your Torah, of your teachings are going to go forth in the world. That's where the song ends. But it continues on. What Mashiach told the Baal Shem's Neshama was, and that others will be able, all other Jews will be able to be miyached yichudim k'moischa. Miyached yichudim k'moischa. They'll be able to be miyached yichudim. In other words, to be focused on the yichud of Hashem and all the yichudim when it comes to all all of our mitzvahs and everything we do in life to be focused on that yichud of Hashem, k'moischa, like you. And the Baal Shem Tov himself shared with us that he was very worried. How did that come to be? That Jews will be able to have such hasagas like he had. To have these hasagas, yichudim k'moischa, like you, k'moischa. But this is the character that Hashem gave Yadod, and that's what's going to be when Mashiach comes. We're going to be Machid Yechudim, like the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh. To talk like that now, it sounds like it's some sort of heresy. To compare, not comparing ourselves to Baal Shem. Hashem has both compared us to Kivyachol, to himself. To be Machid Yechudim in such a way. The Kidul Asakein HaKovid B'Maisav HaMesukanim. Therefore, Hashem has appointed man with this responsibility to be masaken this covet of the Shechina in the world and man's covet through Maisav HaMesukanim, by conducting his life in the most perfected way that's possible, according to the instructions that are given to us in Torah Shebechsav and Torah Sheba'al. That's how we make ourselves into complete Tzuras HaAdam. And then man contains within him all that is in a microcosmic way, all that is in that covered ha'elyon of Adam ha'elyon, man is able to contain within himself. Adam ha'katan, in a smaller way, contains within him all that is to be found in Adam ha'elyon. Adam ha'elyon. Again, we're not talking about Hashem and his unknowable essence, but as Hashem has made himself known to us, which we call Shechina. V'zehu side, and that is the meaning of the pasuk in Navi, in Yeshaya. Kol hanikra b'shmi u'lechvaydi b'rasiv yitzartiv af asisiv. Now we'll see much later in the Sefer that in that pasuk we already have the four worlds are contained in that pasuk. But l'inyanenu, what he's explaining, what the Avodah Kodesh is telling us, and the Shloh Kodesh is telling us, that kol hanikra b'shmi, man and man alone is nikra b'shem Hashem, that we're created b'tselem Elokim, b'tselem in the demus of Hashem, the image of God. L'chvaydi barasiv, Hashem created us to reveal His covet through our lives, and our aligning our lives kivyachol with His tzura ha'elyoina, with His image above. Yitzartiv afasisiv. This is how Hashem created and formed us in such a way. And we'll come back to the pasuk many times later in the Sefer. The Shloh Kodesh tells us, since Adam HaTachton, since lowercase man, that's us, the human being, is contains within him, again in a microscopic form, all that exists in the Adam HaElyon, in that transcendent Adam HaElyon, Kivo HaKol. Therefore, Nikra B'Shem, Kol. Therefore, the tzaddik is called Kol. We spoke that many times. Ki Kol B'Shemayim Uvaretz, and that's what the pasuk says. Kol HaNikra B'Shmi. If a man is able to make his life into everything, if he's able to be everything he was created to be, that's called Kol. The tzaddik is called Kol. And the meaning of Kol is like the word klal. And klal means that it encompasses and contains. So, Kol ha-nikra b'shmi, the Shloh is saying, Kivo ha-kol nikra b'shem kol. That Kihini tzaddik chay olam mesakin amayim et olam b'lamayla, nikra kol. Hashem is the tzaddik chay olam. Hashem is the tzaddik above. He's the tzaddik who's the life of all worlds. And Hashem is called everything. Hashem is called Kol. Liyos HaKol Bo, because everything is in Hashem. Gam tzaddik shalamata. And therefore, the tzaddik in this world, the tzaddik shalamata. Ve'ayoysa mesakenu mamid ha'olam hahu, when the tzaddik in this world does what he's able to do to repair and to be mamid the world according to the Torah, beside the tzaddik yisod olam. And that's what the tzaddik is called, Yesod Olam, the foundation of the world. And Nikra Kol Bishmo. Therefore, the tzaddik is called Kol. Kol HaNikra Bishmi. Ki Hoel V'Oisek B'Binyan HaOlam HaElyon Lamata. The tzaddik is busy building, repairing, constructing that Olam HaElyon, that image of the higher world down here in this world, that's Dir B'Tachtainim, in this physical world, the tzaddik is Isaac in this binyan of the Olam HaElyon, but over here in the Olam HaTachtain. That's what the tzaddik is doing, following the guidelines of Torah Shebechsav, Torah Shebal Peh, and Kabbalah. Kidmus HaTzaddik Shalamala. Therefore, the tzaddik is called Kol, everything, because he's Kidmus, the tzaddik Lamala. He's in the Dmus, the image of the tzaddik Lamala, of Kivyachal Hashem. Roi Imkain Shiyikar B'Shmai. Therefore, it's only fitting that he be called by Hashem's name, which we see by Yaakov Avinu, was the Bechir Ha'avis. Zeoside Kol HaNikra B'Shmi, Zeoside V'Yikrulai Kel Elokei Yisrael. And we see Mika Kel Yeshurin and Chazal tell us that we see that Yaakov Avinu is called Kel. V'Yikrulai Kel Elokei Yisrael. Kel Elokei Yisrael is Yaakov Avinu. Because the tzaddik is able to reach that madrega of Kol HaNikra B'Shmi, because you have made your life into everything you could make it, and in doing so, you are a reflection of that Kol which is above, and you have spent your entire life drawing that reality of the Kol, of the everything from above, into everything it could be down here in this world. You are called by my name. Hashem says, you are called by my name. It's a shocking thing. Mika Kel Yeshua. Yaakov Avinu is called Aleph Lamed. His name is Yisrael. But Yikolo Kel Elokei Yisrael. Oid Metzina B'Divrei Ramak V'Ashloch. And we find in the writings of the Ramak and the Shlach Kodesh, Sheyesh Mokem Avodah Gadol Adam L'Sakin Es Atzmo L'Fi HaSefiros HaSefiros. Now, I said before that the instructions were given to us of how to perfect the Adam HaTachton, the Adam HaKatan. We were given Torah Shebechsav and Torah Shebal Peh. One of the deepest and biggest pieces of Torah Shebal Peh is the secret, the side of the 10 spheres, which is what most of the Sefer is about, the 10 spheres. Shem Shorish Hanhagasi Yisbarach B'chol Ha'olam Kulam. The 10 spheres is the map, is the plan that Hashem revealed to us of how He created all worlds, including us, and everything that exists. It was created by using the Asar Mamaras, the 10 utterances, the 10 spheres, which correspond, of course, to Asar Sadibras, the Asar Makos. It's all one system. Shehu Yadua Hu Sharamak Kosev Sifra Taimedvar. Now, the Ramak wrote a most remarkable sefer that I'm sure that many of you have learned. There was a strong minhag to learn Talmud Torah, especially during Elul. It's also known as it's a very strong school of, God forbid, a person has a machla, a very serious sickness, to learn Talmud Torah. But the yesod of Talmud Torah is the 13 midas of Hashem and the 10 spheres of creation. So the Ramak teaches us in Talmud Torah how to align our lives with the 13 midas. There are two ways of the third, Mikal Kamoich, Hashem Hashem Karachim Mechanim, and how to perfect ourselves in those 13 midas that Hashem has revealed are His 13 midas. So in order to bring to this state of dimui, to be medame the Yotzer liYotzra, the one who was created, to the one who created him. We do our best to be like him, as he revealed to us who he is. And therefore the Ramak teaches us how each one of the midas, what we need to work on. It's a very small sefer. I'm sure many of you have learned it. And how we are to work on each of those midas, and in doing so, and Talmud Torah is mostly not Kabbalah, it's mostly open, in a very, very clear, straightforward way, of what we have to work on when it comes to this midah, what's kel, each one of the midas. The 13 midas is the subject of the first parak of Talmud Torah. But from parak Beis until parak Yud, and the rest of the Sefer, after explaining very briefly the 13 midas, the rest of the Sefer the Ramak devotes to the HaSefiros, the 10 spheres. And what is the avoda in our lives? To be mesak in our lives according to the 10 spheres. The fikol sphere beprotis. The Ramak spends a parak on each one of the spheres. Ayin sham sheherach beprote kol spheru sphere mahu mokem ha'avoda bezeh. And in a much grander scale, we find that in the Shari Oira, and much, much bigger, right in the Shari Oira. Because of Shomer Ramak bePerak Aleph. And the Ramak writes over there in Perak Aleph. Ramak, of course, stands for Rabbi Moshe Weinberger. We just had the schus, many of us, to be by the kever a few weeks ago. The Ramak writes over there in Perak Aleph, Ha'adam ro'y she'is darmal l'koinai. It is ro'y, it's the tachlis of man's life, she is darmal l'koinai, to resemble Kivyachal Hashem, his creator. So that man could actually transform himself, to make himself into this Surah Ha'elyaina while he's in the physical world, which is the tachlis of Dir B'Tachton, and to therefore make himself into a human being of flesh and blood, that every single word, every thought, every word, every action is a reflection of Kivyachal himself. He's miyachid yichudim with everything, with his good morning, with when he has this piece of mezainis. Whatever he's doing, it's an act of that dimui of the Yotzer liYotzra. Every single thing that he does. Selim udmus, and that's the meaning of Selim and Dmus, the image of Hashem. She'ilu yeduma begufay v'loy, the Ramak writes, She'ilu yeduma begufay v'loy bepu'ulais. Now we know that Hashem, that the man's right hand is a Selim of the right arm of Hashem, which is the midah of Chesed, and the left arm is midas hagvura, right? So the Ramak is saying that if man's resemblance to Hashem would only be his body, it would only be his physical form and not the way that he conducts himself in his life, then he has missed the tzura. That's not the shlemus of the tzura. That's not the shlemus of the tzura. Just because you have a right arm and a left arm, a monkey also has a right arm and a left arm. That's not the shlemus of the tzura. The Ramak is saying just because you have that, you were built in a way that's modeled after, like the Odom Alaki say, that the physical image of man is a reflection, kivyachal, of the midas of Hashem, but that's not the tachlis, just that you're alive. Hashem didn't create you, you should just walk around and be a caveman, because you have a right arm, you have a left arm, and therefore your body is modeled after Hashem. That's not the tachlis. If a person does that, he just physically is an image of God, but not by what he does with his life. And they will say about him, Tzura no. Very nice, he's got a nice form. He looks nice. But his behavior is ugly. That's not the Dmus and Selim of Hashem. The ikar of the Selim and the Dmus is not how we look, even though we do reflect Kivyachal, the higher midas, the body itself. But that's not the ikar. The ikar is hein b'pulaisav, what a person does with his body, with his life. The Ramak says, so what good is it that you were created in this way, Kitsura Ha'Elyona, that you were created in this way of the highest Surah, Kivyach like Hashem, the most Tavnes Evarov, that your body is in that image, but in what you do with your life, you have no resemblance to HaKadosh Baruch. You're completely different from Hashem. Hashem Baruch wants you to turn left, you turn right. Hashem wants us to turn right, you turn left. Hashem Baruch wants you to do this, you do that. So how you used your right arm, you use your right hand to give somebody a patch. How do you that? So you have a right hand. The right hand is for chesed. Use to give somebody. What is that? You're using your right hand, which is chesed, and you hit somebody with your right hand. The whole thing is off. V'ashla, and the Shla writes, Ki noisef amash zachart lihidabik b'midaisiv shel Kodesh Baruch Hu, Rachum v'chanun erech apayim. In addition to what I wrote about how we have to try to be misdabik, to attach ourselves to Hashem's ways, just like Hashem is Rachum and Chanun and so on. These are the midas of Hashem shehem benigla that are revealed to us clearly in Tanakh. What's the meaning of Rachum and Chanun, Erech Apayim and so on? Oid yesh Pnimiyus. The Shalah says, but there's a Pnimiyus to this. Of the Pnimiyus is not just Mahu Rachum, to be compassionate, just like he visits the sick and gives clothing for the poor person, whatever. All of that is the nigla of Hashem's midas. But then the Shalah says there's the Pnimiyus of Hashem's midas, which is the HaSefiros, the 10 spheres. Those are the midas of Hashem, but the Pnimiyus of Hashem's midas. That's why the Ramak begins the Sefer with the nigla, the 13 midas. And then he goes into the spheres, which is the Pnimiyus of the midas. Zui Yud HaPnimiyus and Elemis B'Tevas Tamim, and that is the hidden Yud, or the Yud that you don't pronounce in the word Tamim, that's contained in the word Tamim, which means that which is perfect. And when a human being is able to be misdamet Hashem, is able to resemble Hashem in the 10 spheres, in how he conducts himself according to the 10 spheres, which we're going to be learning through the Sefer, how a person lives according to the 10 spheres, that's what the Sefer is about. Then he's b'dmusa b'tzel. He becomes a chariot upon which the Shechina enters into the world, which is the tachlis of Dir b'tachtan, of Hashem being in this world. His presence in this world is Al Yisrael Shemecha. Ubehemshech devar Hashem hevi Ashla is called Divrei Ramak, and in the Hemshech over there, the Shla brings from the Ramak that we just learned, Bebir Havaydl Kfi Kol Sphere, where it's a brief introduction to how we serve Hashem with each of the spheres. Like the Ramak says, what's Keser, what's Chachma, and so on. The Ramak explains each of the spheres in our lives, how we're supposed to serve Hashem with that sphere. The Sforno writes in Vayikra, V'yisem Kedoshim Ki Kodesh Ani. You shall be holy, Ki Kodesh Ani. And that's what it means. It means, Tselem and Tmuz. Kedoshim, you should be Kodesh, Ki Kodesh Ani. Shetiyu Kedoshim V'nitzchim V'hidam Moischem Elai V'midoisim V'miskalos. How can a person, what does it mean, Kodesh? Chazal is. What does it mean, Kedoshim? What does it mean, Ki Kodesh Ani? So the Sforno explains that a person makes himself Kodesh to the degree that he's mizdamet Hashem's midas and muskalos, the way that Hashem conducts himself, and kivyachol, with chachma bina, that's the way that Hashem kivyachol thinks. Because of Eid Bebir HaPasik Kedoshim Tiyu Ki Kodesh Ani, the Sforno writes, Shakavana B'Kol Eila HaSefiros, Hi Sheyu Kedoshim V'Zeh Kedei Sheyidamu Sheyidmu L'Yotzum K'fi HaEfsher. Kedusha means a man resembling Hashem K'fi HaEfsher, as much as it's possible for that person to be like Hashem. That's called Kedusha. Which was the intention when Hashem created man. That's the meaning of B'Tzalmeinu Kidmusenu, the 10 spheres, the 13 midas, that dimion of the Tzur L'Yotzra. That's called Kedusha. That's called B'Tzalmeinu Kidmusenu. That's the tachlis of creation. And from all that we just learned, we understand this is the avoda of a person throughout his life. There's a tremendous avoda. Therefore, we have to know lahakiras and hagas Hashem's baruch HaSefiros. How can we perfect our lives according to the HaSefiros if we don't know what they are? Not just the names. Everybody knows the names, but we don't know what they mean. We don't know what that means. What does it mean? Netzach. What does it mean? Hoid. What is the meaning of Keser? What's Chacham Bina Das? All this stuff. Like they say, Yisakin is Atzma Kidmus Han Hagosi Yisborach. And only through that can a person be Masak in his life. Kidmus Han Hagos Hashem. And then a person can make himself into a Merkava to the best of his ability, a chariot for the Shechina, a dwelling place of Va'asli Mikdav Sheshachanti B'Seicha. There's Dharma L'Bar B'Dimya Pnimi Shel Demus Utzelem Shel Etzem Han Hagos Hanagosi Yisbarach B'Shar Shehar Lamas, to resemble the Demus and the Tzelem of Hashem Kivyachol, the Etzem of HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created and is guiding all worlds. Hashem will continue next.